What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q from Retro Q Gaming, and here we are with episode 41, almost one whole year's worth at this point, of our glorious little Quack Experimental Podcast. Now, there's some juicy stuff to talk about this week, so we'll jump straight into it anyway. This one that we're going to talk about first happened early in the week and still hasn't been rectified as of the recording of this video, but we'll get into the details on it now anyway. So, GTA 4, Grand Theft Auto 4, that one that may have not sold anywhere near as many copies of GTA 5, but to me personally is far more memorable. That's right, despite me having played through GTA 5 3 different times and GTA 4 twice, I can still remember more about GTA 4. Pretty much all of it was just so much more memorable to me than the likes of GTA 5. Of course, I'm not talking shit about GTA 5, it's still a great game. But anyway, back to the point. GTA 4, aka Cousin, Let's Go Bowling Simulator. We have this game recently disappearing from Steam. Now, when I say disappearing from Steam, it disappeared from sale from Steam. The store page is still there, and if you have the game, even if it's not installed, you can download and play it. So that's no problem. So at least if you're not getting screwed out of your money just yet. Anyway, now, like I said, you can still download it. If you already own it, yada yada yada, you can play it all that too. But Rockstar eventually clarified what the deal was when it came to the removal of GTA 4 for sale from Steam. Now it turns out that all of this one, GTA 4, is how they generate the license keys is actually tied to the dead system that is Games for Windows Live. We all know and hate Games for Windows Live. As much as, you know what, just having said that, as much as Games for Windows Live is basically a meme, I will personally say I have never had any problems with it. I realize I seem to be in the very, very, very small minority, but pretty much every time I've used Games for Windows Live, even when it was current to more modern and using it retroactively, I haven't had any problems with it. I used to frequently play Gears of War original PC version for years and years and years, way past its sell-by date, if you will. And I had no problems at all. There was a couple of games I had when they were on Steam and they were the Games for Windows Live version. I had no problem at all with them. I could redeem the keys easily, I could reinstall it, I could log in just fine, and I could play the game just fine with basically no issues. Of course, like I am absolutely not unaware to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there that had massive amounts of Games for Windows Live issues. And of course, Games for Windows Live in general and what I tried to do was a negative. So I'm not defending it anyway. But back to the point. So because Games for Windows Live is dead, they can no longer issue and generate CD keys for the likes of this because, well, it required it. Now, this is where it gets a little bit iffy and all. Rockstar have come out and said that they're working on a way to find a way around it to re-release it again on PC in some way, shape or form. Meaning either publish directly to Steam or converting it away from Games for Windows Live, and that way they can just do their own one. Or, let's look at gaming landscape and PC digital distribution in 2020. And it would not surprise me if when GTA 4 did come back up for sale, it came up exclusively on the Rockstar launcher. Imagine that. That would not surprise me as well. Now, regardless of platform, Games for Windows Live, Steam or Rockstar, whatever it is, the game GTA 4, while great and, like I said, far more memorable than GTA 5 to me personally, is a terrible PC port that needs heavy modding just for performance and stability. Now, if you can manage to slog through all that, you get a great playing, a great performing, and just a great game in general. But of course, you can go the extra mile. You can install your lovely little ice enhancer or whatever your preferred mod tool set is for GTA. And well, you can have it looking pretty much better than GTA 5 does on PC vanilla while completely maxed out. So yeah, you can get some crazy visual mods. But interestingly enough, when you think about it, that's also a little indication. Because the game was built with the PS3 and 360 in mind, even with all the extra ice enhancer and the mods and everything that it facilitates to make it look better and all, it still has that root, that fundamental baseline the design choice that it's held back by that hardware. Very fitting, considering some of the more modern conversations and the more modern topical versions that it's relative to nowadays. Sexbox game design because of Xbox One. Excuse me, I had something in my throat there. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with GTA 4 if it comes back. I really do need to get around to properly, heavily modding it for the performance and stability, because it came out during that bad time and it runs like absolute dirt unless you mod it properly, heavily. And then it's great. But speaking of other things that aren't so great, like the original state of the GTA 4 PC port, well, usually we can look forward to a big, nice, juicy gaming season at the end of the year. The hardcore gaming season, as some people like to refer to it as. I don't know why anyone would call it that, but we have another new season, if you will, in 2020. So, because 2020 is the advent of a new decade and whatnot, they naturally had to come out and create a new little gaming season, if you will. This one is the hardcore delay season of 2020. That's right. Many new games have been recently delayed, or even previously delayed last year, into this little area. We have a couple of examples here. Animal Crossing New Horizons was originally delayed from 2019 to March, April of 2020. Marvel Avengers is one of the more higher profile ones as well, because that was just delayed the other day. So that was a little bit of a shock to some people, even if they can or can't get over the character model change and design. You know, not being like the movies and whatnot. Doom Eternal, of course, was delayed from November of last year until March, I believe it is, of this year. Can't wait for that one. It's going to be the beast. The Last of Us Part 2, again, was originally announced last year at some point, properly, if you will, release date, and promptly delayed into slightly later this year. Funny enough, this one is coming from being originally delayed from February to May, so hell, it still works in that way. Iron Man VR on the PSVR exclusive is also another one to suffer, one of the more modern and just recent delays that has been one to suffer for all this as well. And of course, probably the biggest, or one of the biggest at least, highest profile ones for many people. Although this one might be a little bit higher profile because of some additional juicy little information. Cyberpunk 2020... There we go, let's try that again without editing that out. Cyberpunk 2077. Delayed. That's right. Here we are, just a couple of months until original launch, if you will. And now it has been delayed till September 17th, 2020. Now, like a special limited edition cereal or whatever, now with added crunch. That's right. That's right. What they had announced, obviously, CD Projekt Red have been fairly, we'll call it, outspoken about their developer health and well-being and mental state of mind and their work culture and whatnot. And supposedly their crunch was kept to a minimum, or just not there at all in some cases. Now, when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, apparently there's been no proper crunch going on as it is up till now, up till the moment. And then this delay hits, and it just really, the details of it really don't make me have faith too much in it. And I just frankly don't believe their shit at this point. Mainly because they tried to damage control the delay it just a little bit. Now, they said that, of course, is down to the likes of, the game is complete, the game is done, we're just going to put a little bit of extra polish and whatnot on it too, to give you that better gaming experience that we all know, love, and you deserve, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. To an extent, I can agree with that, because I don't mind game delays in normal circumstances. This is not a normal circumstance, you'll see why now in a moment. But generally it's because if the game is delayed, it will typically be a better version of the game down the line. One of those incorrect quotes that the Nintendrones are just, well, idiots in general really, that keep popping up nowadays is the old Miyamoto quote from, I think it was the 90s, where they say, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is bad forever. Yeah, when you post that in 2020, you just look like a fucking clown. Why? Because now, as much as an unfortunate state that this is, and I do not defend this as well, but it's looking at facts, A game can launch like absolute shit and be bad, and then can be completely revamped, overhauled, and patched and fixed and be good. And guess what? That game was not delayed. It was rushed and put out. A couple of notable examples that many people throw out there are Elder Scrolls Online and No Man's Sky. Of course, the PC version of Batman Arkham Knight springs to mind as well. I can't speak for the first two, mainly because I have no interest in them. Eventually, once the Batman Arkham Knight one was patched and fixed, of course it is the best version of the game. So yes, if you use that quote in 2020, you are a fucking clown. No, you know what? You're not even a fucking clown. You are fucking clown shoes. That easy. If I see you using that anywhere online, you will be clowned by me for it, as well as many, many other people, because you just look like a fucking idiot. Now, back to our little main point that we were going on about, Cyberpunk 2077. So the reason why I think this is not a normal circumstance for the delay is because, like I said a minute ago, they have claimed that the game is done, the game is finished, the game is complete and playable from start to finish, and that they just need a little bit of extra time to polish it. Now, they are 3 months from launch. 3 months from original planned announcement launch, whatever you want to call it, with no crunch. And they had to delay the game 5 months and add crunch. So now they've gone from, we're just about done, that we can do it in 3 months with no crunch, to, oh yeah, now we need to do 8 months with crunch. Yeah, I don't believe your shit, CD Projekt Red. I don't believe your shit at all at this point. It's just absolute bullshit, and I don't believe that. But hey, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. They have come out and said that it will originally launch on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and it will not just be pushed to a next-gen game. Of course, they're going to probably release a port down the line. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. But, I mean, well, of course they're going to do it. The PC version will already exist, so they can just tone that down a little, put it on the next-gen consoles. And, of course, sell it for full price again, like GTA 5. But back to one other slight positive I will say about this one. With it launching, hopefully pending no more delays of course, September 17, 2020, well, this gives us a little bit more time for them to potentially launch the RTX 3080 Ti before then. Have my new computer, possibly a new GPU that's completely beast mode, if the rumors are to be believed, 50% more powerful, and basically no performance hit for ray tracing. Imagine running Cyberpunk 2077 on one of those bad boys. Ooh, that one gets me all, woo lad. And of course, you probably noticed that I didn't mention one specific game when I was talking about the hardcore delay season and all the recent delays within the last week or two, because I wanted to give it its own little dedicated section. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes, that's right. Unfortunately, Final Fantasy VII Remake has been delayed. Now, this one isn't so bad when it comes to what would be a usual delay, because this was originally going to launch on March 3rd, 2020. It's now been delayed just over a month to April 10th. So that's not too bad. And when you think about it, realistically, that means they're probably 95% done. They just need a little bit extra time to do all this. So again, hopefully it's the same deal. Hopefully that they can actually do what they say and what it actually is. Now, they put out a statement, and basically the gist of it is they say it's to ensure we deliver a game that is in line with our vision and quality our fans who have been waiting deserve. Which is absolute horseshit and complete bullshit as well, because, well, let's face it, if the more recent leaked demo was to be believed, it's 30 frames per second and a time exclusive on a console. So everything they just said beforehand is an absolute bullshit lie. Now, interestingly enough as well, everyone was freaking out about this, because, oh my god, it's releasing like 6 days before Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, all those quotes didn't age well, did they? But yeah, now Cyberpunk, maybe they, who knows? Maybe they delayed Cyberpunk, specifically said, oh shit, we're going to get bodied by Final Fantasy VII Remake. We need to delay this a good bit. So, will the year of timed exclusivity, because there is 1 year timed exclusive, originally it was going to be until March 4th of 2021, will that 1 year of timed exclusivity be pushed back a month as well? So will I have to wait for the proper, true, best version of the game to be April 10th, or April 11th, depending on what way they work on it. On Steam, hopefully Steam, because, well, it does use the Unreal Engine, and it could go either way at that point because of fucking Epic. Yeah, April 10th or 11th, 2021, best version of the game. Am I going to have to wait, or can I still get it earlier? I don't know. I have my Soldier First Class Edition ordered on PS4 for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm going to attempt to play it at launch. I've been informed, I don't know how true this is, I've been keeping away from all details, specifically because I don't want spoilers on anything new that they might add in, but we all know, supposedly at least anyway, that the new demo leaked is 30 frames per second. Supposedly the full game is going to be 30 frames per second, but some of the previous demos that they had at trade shows and whatnot were tipped to be 60 frames per second. Maybe they'll have a PS4 Pro performance mode, but we've all seen how bad that can go in pretty much every game that it's in. The majority of every games that it's in, especially Final Fantasy 15. That's a very bad indicator as well. But it is a different engine, so we just don't know yet. But massive performance issues aside, I will, depending on unless there's massive performance issues, I will be trying to play it on PS4. It could turn out that the game is unplayable in its current form, and maybe I have to wait for the glorious PC Gaming Master Race version, the best version of the game that ever will exist, of course, because, well, why wouldn't it be? But anyway, too long, didn't read, didn't listen, didn't watch, whatever way you want to call it. Final Fantasy VII is delayed 5 weeks. I'm going to try not lose my mind. It is a bit unfortunate as well, actually, because of the date. I had stuff planned out in around then. I was going to take 2 weeks off work because I have a convention in around there, and Final Fantasy would have been out. So I could have just sat down, relaxed, played Final Fantasy for a week, went to my convention, came back, played Final Fantasy for a week, and then went back to work. And, hate life. But hey, it is what it is. Nothing I could do. Fuck you, Square Enix. And coming from a previous segment about Final Fantasy VII Remake, which, by the way, I do want to add Sony threw money at to get a timed 1-year exclusivity deal on there. Who knows, maybe they used up all their additional funds, because now Sony are skipping E3 again. That's right, they skipped it last year as well, and they're going to be skipping it this year yet again. And it's very confusing for many people this year because the PS5 is launching this year. Granted, we haven't had the proper reveal event just yet. It is tipped to be happening, well, depending on which rumor and which leak you listen to, it could be happening any day now. It's like a Nintendo Direct. But yeah, it's just so bad in that regard. But you'd think with the PS5 they'd want to showcase it in as many ways, shapes, forms, places and times that they can. And that's very strange because even though it hasn't been revealed and showcased yet, E3 has fallen from its once top tier status, if you will. It's no longer the biggest games expo and the biggest trade show and whatnot. It's still up there. It's still in like the top 5, I believe. But as far as I know, Gamescom is still the biggest, followed closely by, I think it's Tokyo Game Show is number 2, and Taipei Game Show, I think, is number 3. I know Gamescom is definitely number 1, but the other ones are all over the place. But hey, if you're not first, you're last, so they're not even worth mentioning or not even worth keeping up with in detail. But when you think about it, since whatever they're going to show off and reveal in the showcase and whatnot, next-gen exclusive games, wow, I had something caught in my throat there. But yeah, they claim it's just not the right fit for Sony and the PS5 this year, which kind of makes no sense because they didn't have a PS5 last year, and yeah, they just kind of skipped it and didn't have an excuse there. So they're going to go with what they call hundreds of other community events and expos. So it's strange that if they still go to all the main stuff and all the other major stuff, it would be very strange that they just skip E3 again. It's really weird in that way. Now, there's plenty of teases for a month of PlayStation and other announcements and shows and stuff going on at the moment. Some are just weeks of PlayStation, some are months of PlayStation, some are the fake leaks and rumors that have no basis whatsoever, but who knows, could be right. But interestingly enough, there's only one main publisher this year that's going to have their own proper E3 show. Now, not some of the pre-E3 shows like we do have usually every year, like say Bethesda and some of the other ones and all too. Microsoft will obviously be there. They've doubled down and said that they're going to be in there to support the industry, as they like to say. But the one other one that's confirmed so far is kind of strange. Kind of and not, but it's Ubisoft. It's Ubisoft. Now, coming closer, of course, we might have one of those EA Play things that's technically before E3, just like most of the other shows, so maybe they do or don't count, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. What does this say overall for the industry? Because it seems that a lot of it could be moving away and just be decentralized. I don't really know. My big gripe with these trade shows, especially E3 is one of them, is as gamers, as consumers, as fans, we don't want to wait for 4 different big points every year to get our game info reveals and whatnot, our announcements. Keep it steady. Keep it consistent. If you have them, of course. Don't just rush stuff out to get it out there. But don't hold back something that you could announce properly in May, or in January, February, March, April, May, just to launch it or announce it in June with all these other announcements. You could have put out 20 different announcements over the past 6 months, but no, you hold them all back and do them all at once in June. It's just a bit stupid. It's just a bit stupid. Keep it consistent, keep it smaller. So overall, I wouldn't really be too upset if all of these shows disappeared. Not just E3, but even Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, whatever. Because that way, developers and publishers will be more inclined to just put stuff out when it suits. Not, we could put this information out now, but we'll hold it back and do it at the whatever show, generic Game Expo show number 45 next week, or next month, or 2 months from now, or 6 months from now. So I think it would be better in that regard, for us as gamers at least anyway. But speaking of things that are going to be good for us gamers and whatnot, it's time to talk about a JRPG that's near and dear to my heart. Of course, as everyone probably already knows, if you don't, why the hell are you on this video? But welcome anyway. JRPGs are my favorite genre. I love them so much. Pretty much every platform, the majority of styles and types in that genre of JRPGs, I love so much of it. This one we're talking about is Skies of Arcadia, or Skies of Arcadia Legends if you're one of those people, like myself, who started with it on the GameCube. Now, last April, one of the lead producers of Skies of Arcadia, she said that she felt like the game didn't need a sequel, it didn't need a HD port, or didn't need a remaster or anything like that, because she considered that the GameCube Enhanced Edition was the definitive edition of the game and didn't need improvement or didn't need a re-release or a HD master, HD remaster, or whatever it is. So she just said, as one of the lead producers, she felt like that was the definitive edition of the game and she could happily leave it at that. Now, I'm going to probably butcher this name, but Kenji Haruta, one of the lead developers of the game, he has come out on Twitter and he's been started talking about it recently, who said he would love to make a sequel. And he was wondering if there's any interest in it. And naturally, there's a decent amount of fans out there. Of course, it's still fairly niche, but there's still a decent amount of fans out there who have been pretty vocal about it, pretty much in reinforcing him and re-encouraging him that it is there and people want it. People would love it. I know I would, definitely, at least anyway. If it's anywhere quality-wise, anywhere close to the original game, even if it's a little bit better or a little bit worse, or even the same, I would be happy with that because that was a damn good game. So it makes you wonder if we'll ever see a sequel. Maybe they try to do a HD remaster or a port or whatever it is to test the market to see if it's viable. But he has said that he's over the next little bit of time and all, he's going to be cataloging all the, well, at least this is what he said. He's going to be cataloging all the tweets. They're going to be done in different ways and whatnot. He's going to present them to Sega to show them that the market is there and there's people asking for it and whatnot too. But all I can say is that as long as it's a multi-platform game and not a third-party exclusive, I will be happy. Because there's no reason whatsoever that a third-party game like that should be locked to any platform. Just put it on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Hell, even put it on PS5, Xbox, and PC. That's all that matters. Don't lock it to some abstract, shitty, underpowered piece of hardware. Timed exclusive rights, purchase rights, whatever it is. Just don't lock it to the fucking Switch. Don't even factor the Switch into development. Just put it in on the proper stuff. That's all I ask. I will buy it as long as it looks good. And give me a HD remaster while you're at it. I will gladly buy that. I highly recommend anyone with a Dreamcast or with a GameCube or through whatever other means that you want to do to play it, play Skies of Arcadia or Skies of Arcadia Legends. If you like JRPGs, you're going to like this one. But speaking of other things that we know and that we love, it's Monster Hunter World Iceborn time. Now, recently, Monster Hunter World Iceborn, the expansion, launched on PC, which was shortly after its original console release. So, Iceborn has now officially, with the launch of the PC version and the sales therein, has gone on to break over 4 million sales of just the expansion alone. Of course, if you remember, Monster Hunter World has sold about 15 million units on the base game across the 3 platforms itself, Xbox One, PS4, and PC, because the Switch can't run it. So it's crazy to see it. It becomes the 3rd best-selling Monster Hunter anything. Not only that, but of course it becomes not only the best-selling Monster Hunter game overall, but Capcom's biggest-selling game of all time, beating out Resident Evil 5. And remember, it took Resident Evil 5 about 8, 9, 10 years to make up those sales. Monster Hunter World smashed it in like 4 months. So, yeah, it's a good thing that hardware limitations be damned, it came to the real world and not stuck on those. But it's crazy when you think about it, because sales-wise, an expansion alone has outsold many of the games in the series, some of them even multiple times over. And that includes every single Monster Hunter release on a Nintendo platform. That's right, Monster Hunter World Iceborn, the expansion, has sold more than any individual game on a Nintendo platform, be it a DS, 3D... No, not DS. There's none on the DS. Be it on the 3DS, the Wii, the Wii U, the Switch, whatever it is. It's completely outsold all of those. And if you ask me, within the next few weeks or months, because it did just recently launch on PC, I expect it to even outsell the 2nd best-selling Monster Hunter anything of all time, which is a PSP game. Because let that serve as a reminder to you that the PSP saved Monster Hunter and not Nintendo. Because, well, they all like to say that the 3DS saved it. No, the PSP completely carried that thing for years. It was fine after that. But now that it's not limited by shitty out-of-date hardware, underpowered hardware, handhelds, anything like that, you can see that Monster Hunter World shot it to the stars, shot it to the modern era to become the best-selling Capcom game and best-selling Monster Hunter game of all time by considerable margins. And it's justified. Absolutely justified. Monster Hunter World is hella fun. I have to get back to playing it recently. I should get back to... I shouldn't say recently. I have to get back to playing it soon. I dedicated myself to choosing that recently. That's kind of what I meant to say. Just crossed over, but it's going to be a few months because I want to do what I said I'm going to do, and then there's the hardcore 2 months coming out soon as well, which we'll talk about now in a minute, and then maybe I can get a chance to play it. But yeah, Monster Hunter World, the quality and whatnot, it really shows what these companies and these games and all can do when they're not shackled by hardware limitations, which again also ties in to another modern conversation we're having with factoring in Xbox One when it comes to Xbox game development. That's why you probably don't see a lot of, or at least when it launches, you probably won't see a lot of PS5 games, Sony first-party ones, PS5 games, that also work on PS4. See? There's a reason for this. Design choices. I'm getting off topic. And next up we can talk a little bit about Google Stadia. Everyone's alleged favourite platform, but hell, no one uses it because, well, reasons. Now, you might remember Google Stadia. It's one of those streaming services that just recently launched. Of course, it's flopped fantastically and, well, almost astronomically at this point. And of course, Remember, Google Stadia is the worst platform ever created. It's not the worst console ever created. That's a 50-50 tie between the Xbox One and the Wii U, but it is the worst platform ever created, and it's important to remember that. Now, why are we talking about Google Stadia this time? Are we talking about the terrible input lag, the lack of promised quality and whatnot? Because where they said games and all would run at 4K 60 with the highest settings, and then they turn out to run at 1080p medium settings? Yikes. But no, we're not talking about stuff like that anyway. We are talking about timed exclusivity. That's right. Everyone's favorite little thing, be it Epic Game Store, be it Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, whoever it is. Timed exclusivity is the topic of conversation here. Now, maybe this is something that I can use as an example to illustrate to you console guys out there who don't understand the PC market. Not using that as an insult this time, but I'm just going to try to use it to explain, because you guys don't seem to understand the big difference between the whole Epic Game Store buying timed exclusivity things. It's just a launcher, install that one instead. Well, let's look at it this way, shall we? Now, Google have been paying for timed exclusivity for 10 games in the first few months of 2020. That's right, they've gone on record and said that they have paid 10 developers and publishers. They haven't listed the developers, they haven't listed the publishers, and they haven't released which games it is. But 10 games that are going to launch between now, January 2020, and July 2020, have been delayed on console and PC, just so they can launch as a timed exclusive on Google Stadia. Now, you're probably wondering, Q, what's the difference? Why are you using this as an example? Well, in what Google want Google Stadia to be, and the availability and all of it too, I can just tell you that now, instead of buying it on your PlayStation or your Xbox or whatever it is, you can just buy it on your phone, buy it on your smart TV, buy it on your PC to play through the streaming service, buy it on anything that supports Chrome OS browser. You're still paying the same price for the game, you're just buying it somewhere else. You don't really properly need to buy all the extra additional hardware and all, because what they want to do is have it up and running with no additional stuff on any of those platforms listed. So you don't need to buy a new console. It's not like, say, if Sony were to buy up an exclusive that used to launch, or buy as an exclusive that used to launch on both consoles, and then they bought it up just for themselves. Because then you would need to buy the other console. In this case, you don't even need to. You just install the app, you pay the same price and buy the game just like you usually would. There you go. Why do you not do that? Inferior experience, you say? Sounds familiar. Anyway, this is all bullshit. I hate when anywhere does this, be it for full games or DLC or whatever it is. No matter who does it, Microsoft with their GTA 4 DLC, they did that for 6 months exclusivity on both of them. They paid for all of that. Sony have done it in multiple different times and states as well, like with the new Call of Duty and that 1 year exclusive Horde mode where, well, let's be real, after the 1 year is up, everyone will move on to the next game. And yeah, that's pretty bullshit. They've obviously paid for the Final Fantasy VII Remake exclusivity. There's other ones in there too. Nintendo have done it. Epic Games are doing it. There's probably so many more in there as well. So now you can see, hopefully you get a little bit of a glimmer and a little bit of a glimpse into why it's bullshit. Because fuck those companies trying to dictate where I can play, where you can play, where whoever it is can play. Just because they have money. Who's worse when you think about it? Is it the companies offering the money, or is it the companies accepting the money? Well, it's about a 50-50 split if you ask me. Now this next segment was originally tipped to being a huge little segment within itself, but because of how everything became over the week and whatnot too, I basically just made it into its own video. So I'll touch on it real quick just for a second now. We have the rumors of certain PlayStation exclusive games coming to PC later this year. Horizon Zero Dawn and Dreams have been tipped or leaked or rumored or whatever it is, and they've said places, leaks, rumors and all, etc. have also said that you can look forward to more of them coming in the future after this. Now, I have about 30 lines of notes on here that I had already, so I'll give you the Cliff Note version. Every game should come to PC because it's the best platform. It gives the best experience, the best visuals, the best frame rate, the best control, the best everything. Everything should come here. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what platform it is. If it's Nintendo, hell, leave it on the Switch, but bring it to PC as well. If it's a PlayStation exclusive, leave it on PlayStation and give it to PC as well. Xbox are already one step ahead of you. We're the best. We should have every game. Fuck all those underpowered pieces of shit. Anyway, that is it for our, 41st episode. But wait, there's more, jabronis. That's right, we have a quick little wrap-up section here with our Q, what's going on, what's the deal, what is up, what is going down, what are you playing? Well, basically I've only been playing one thing all week. Wild Arms. That's right, I have my PS2 over there. Naturally, you turn it all on, put on your disk loading speed up to fast, you put your textures mapping onto smooth, and yes, connect that bad boy in, RGB SCART, to the PVM. Woo lad, does it feel good. It's great. I finally going to get around to finishing it. I can't remember why I stopped years ago. I think I got lost, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I think the last time I played it, I got lost after like 30 or 40 hours or something, and I couldn't remember where I was doing or what I was going. But I started over. It looks glorious. It's still a good game. It holds up really well, and that's pretty damn good. But that gives me a second also to talk about what we mentioned earlier, the reason why I don't play the likes of Monster Hunter World Iceborn within the next month or two. Naturally, I'll probably finish Wild Arms within the next week or two anyway, but I want to keep going with just the retro games up until the start of March. Hell, now with even the Final Fantasy delay, it might even be the middle of March. Play just retro stuff, clear off some backlogs, some decompress, some de-stress, some whatever it is. Just good soul food gaming. And I can get that out of the way. I can get it done, do what I need to do, then hit the flood of new games, and then just go. With all those games coming out in March, April, I've got The Last of Us Part 2 at the end of May. I have a pretty stacked couple of months when it comes to those. Some of them are big RPGs. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a big RPG. Of course, Cyberpunk is now delayed, so that doesn't count anymore. But yeah, there's other stuff to do in the meantime as well. So, that's it for all of this right now. However, I do want to thank everyone for joining me, watching it, hanging out, shooting shit, and of course, toughing out through all this glorious little fact-checking. Clearly the best source of logical info out there on the internet right now. So, until then, I will see everyone next time, be it on whatever it is. Feel free to head on over, hit the subscribe button, even ring the little notification bell, hit whatever little appropriate thumbs up, thumbs down, obviously it's thumbs up, video that's appropriate to how you had a bit of a connection with the video. But until then, until next week when we have episode 42, coming up even closer to the 1 year anniversary, well, just remember, the winners don't play switch ports.